Take us with you.
I don't think so. Pets. Yeah, you got the stench of domestication all over you. You chose your side, and now you're gonna burn.
No, stop. Who you calling pets? I ain't no pet. You got it all wrong. We're just like you guys. We hate humans.
Yeah.
Hate them.
That's right.
Oh, man, don't get me started on people. Am I right, Duke?
Yeah, that's why we burned our collars, man.
We burned them to the ground.
It killed our owners.
Yeah, wait a minute. That's too far, maybe? No, they dig it. Yes, we whacked them.
Yeah, that's right.
Bang, bang with our own paws.
If I had a dime for every owner I killed,
Oh, yeah.
I'd have a dime, because I just killed the one.
And that's a clip from The Secret Life of Pets. I'm delighted to say one of its stars, Eric Stonestreet, is with us. Eric, how are you, sir?
I'm very good.
Very welcome to the program.
Very welcome to be here.
And tell us about Duke. Tell us about your role. Tell us about this pooch performance you're doing here.
Well, Duke is a big furry, sloppy Newfoundland dog who unrests Mac's perfect little home in New York. He's a one-dog apartment with a perfect owner played by Ellie Kemper, and she finds me. I don't want to give too much away. She finds me and brings me home and changes the dynamic of the home as it does when you bring another dog in.
Okay, so a Newfoundland dog. So you're a big kind of shaggy affair, aren't
Yeah.
you? When you come in, you kind of take over, and you
Yeah.
appear to be delightful and charming to start with.
Well, yeah, I think I have to lay the ground rules down because, again, not saying too much, but I don't want to, once I get into that home, I don't want to leave under any circumstances. And Max realizes he needs to get rid of me to get back to his happy
Yeah.
place.
It comes from the same team who did Despicable Me and the Minions. If there's a little Minions film that comes in right at the very beginning.
Yeah.
It's an extraordinary team, isn't it? With an amazing track record, just built up over a short number of years. But the spirit is exactly the same.
Yeah, well, this is their first new franchise, or potential franchise, or new content because of Despicable Me and the Minions have had sequels. So this is their first new movie coming out, original, in a while. But Chris Meledandri, who runs Illumination, is just a great guy, and they do have an amazing track record. The director, Chris Renault, has done a lot. And yeah, I mean, when they asked me to be a part of it, I jumped at the chance. You know, I was very, very excited. I thought it was a great concept. Everybody loves their pets. So.
Yes. And the kind of concept is, it's like Toy Story, but with pets. It's when you shut the door, what do they get up to?
Yeah.
And I have to say that there's so many laugh out loud moments. I mean, people from 5 to 95, people are going to find their own particular pet and their own particular moment. I like the moshing poodle myself.
Yeah.
A very small role, but and underplayed, I think. But, but
I like the tattooed pig.
And the tattooed pig, exactly. This is all very good. And is it fair to say? I think this is right. This is your first animation as well.
This is my first animated feature.
How does that work? What was the process?
Well, you just go. Thankfully, the studio that I would record at was very close to my house, and I would just, on my days off, I forget how many days I actually did, but you go in from anywhere from maybe an hour to 6 hours, and you're in there, and in the beginning sort of building the foundation of what the character might sound like. And we played with a few different options. Is he really a New Yorker kind of guy, because that's where the movie takes place? Is he a little north of the border? Does he have a little Canadian, a little accent or something like that? And it just ended up on a more excitable version of my voice. And you hear a little bit of the New York accent when Duke gets mad or scared.
I'm interested in the voice that you would use for an animated dog. Who you speak to? Who are you channeling here? Who are you trying to access when you're becoming the voice?
Well,
of
it starts
dog?
with the picture. They show you a picture, and Duke's got a little bit of an underbite, and I didn't really hit that too much. He's kind of got a little bit of an underbite, and what that sort of does to you. And then it really is the words on the page, and the attitude and the fears and the hopes and the dreams of the character. I mean, you don't look at it as like a dog. For me, I didn't. You just look at it as a character and who happens to be a dog, kind of like how I look at the role I play on Modern Family. Character's gay, but I don't think of him as gay. It's just a person. And you just start there, and then the director starts guiding you, and you just want to try to be as much of a sponge. It's interesting because what I like to think of doing animation is, in order to, I think, want to be an actor in the entertainment industry, I think it's pretty simple to say you have to have a decent imagination. And you kind of lose that imagination, especially when you're on a show like I'm doing, as far as like, because the props are there and I don't have to build the world because the world's built for me by the set decorator, or whatever. And with animation, it really takes you back to using your imagination, because while there are words there, you have to imagine what it looks like Duke falling out of a sewer drain 30 feet into the Hudson River.
And it looks funny. The script is terrific, and the scenes where there's Louis C.K. and Kevin Hart and yourself, it sounds like you're improvising. That's what it sounds like, but clearly it's an animation, and I don't think you're in the same room at the same time. Were you allowed to make stuff up?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's kind of why they hire comedians, to bring some of their flavor, but there still is a script they have to do, and every once in a while, what would happen, I'm sure, is Kevin would say something, I would say something, or Louis would say something, and then you have to kind of go back and justify and work that back into the script. So inevitably, you record the same scene a couple times, and maybe 8 months time in between. So maybe when they did Kevin's session or Louis' session, he said something, and now they have to come back and get me. But yeah, you're allowed to improvise. And then at some point, you just kind of focus in on the line.
And when you saw it all put together for the first time, what did you make of it?
I think like most people are going to be blown away, just the color and the scape of New York City and how they built the buildings and the cars and just the crispness of it. And I agree with you. There's a couple scenes with Louis and I that I defy somebody to think we aren't staring at each other and acting in the same room with each other.
You were mentioning just before we started, Eric. You were talking about and you've mentioned voices, and all actors love voices and playing with voices and accents and getting the voice right for Duke and so on. You were telling me about a wardrobe person who works with you on Modern Family? Set decorator. Okay, and where's this set deck person from?
I think she's from Birmingham.
Birmingham, England, or Birmingham, Alabama?
Birmingham, England.
Right. And how do you?
I need to hear a little bit of it first. Where are you from?
I'm from London.
London.
Yes.
London.
I spent a few, doing a Birmingham accent is one of those tricky accents to do. And you're a lad from Kansas, so I don't know whether I'm going to be.
She just kind of talks like this a little bit. She's just got a little bit of a, and so when she says Claire, I'm just like, hello, Claire. I do the male version back of what she sounds like. And then I realized that I have to be so annoying to her and how much, but it's really hard, because, my training is my ear and my eyes. I didn't go to acting school. I didn't study at the Juilliard. So what I rely on is my ability to, mimic. So I'm always listening. And just as I was pulling up here I love little 5-second conversations you hear as you walk by people. And I literally heard a taxi driver say, "Oh, it's a pox on him." Like, I just heard that. Like, that really just happened.
So you might not have gone to the Juilliard, but you trained I think you were in Chicago. You were studying theater. You were studying
Second
improv.
City, yeah.
So your training came that way. I think I'm right in saying that you're a pig farmer in Kansas, and then you were studying to be a prison administrator, and
That's
then
right.
someone said, "Hey, Eric, you need to be going for this play."
Yeah, I was dating a girl, my high school girlfriend, in college, part-time college girlfriend. We dated from sophomore to sophomore year. And when we broke up, I was bummed. I was depressed, just like I was wandering, just lost at sea. And my best friend, Paul, who is still my best friend, Paul, he lives in Los Angeles with me. He had done theater in high school, and he dared me to audition for a play. So we each went and auditioned. I was in a fraternity in college. I was, kind of not in the theater department. So we went, and we each auditioned for 2 plays, Prelude to a Kiss and Hamlet. And I learned the Claudius speech from Hamlet to audition with, and I did great. She thought, because she never, the director had never seen me before. She's like, "Who is this guy that walks in and does this great Claudius speech?" And then she said, "Now I'd like to have you cold read." And I said, "I'm sorry, do what?" She said, "We're going to cold read some scenes from Hamlet." And I had no idea what cold reading was. Well, that was the end of me. I couldn't cold read Shakespeare.
So we're jumping on a few years here, but obviously Modern Family has been such a huge success. Emmy Awards for you, Emmy Awards for the cast. I think it's the 8th season's been announced. Is that right?
Yeah, we're going into our 8th.
Okay, when are you going into that?
We start shooting in August.
It must be like Nirvana. It's like a dream come true to have such a hit series. I remember watching the pilot
Yeah.
and thinking, defy anyone to go back and watch that pilot and not realize that this was a huge, huge success right from the get-go.
Yeah, I think, taking the appropriate amount of credit for that and not giving myself too much. I think you just felt like you knew the characters. You had seen the show before. And that's a testament to the bones of the script, and the idea and the concept. It was just the way you didn't know the three families were connected, and that what a big surprise that was. And now I've given that away for anybody who's never heard of Modern Family. But when they showed the entire pilot at the upfronts, the television upfronts, what we have where we show advertisers what new shows are on the horizon, and they decided to show the whole pilot, which is unheard of. Usually they show a 5-minute clip because they don't want people to have too much power to kill something before it even gets off the ground.
Great.
They just want to give a little snippet to critique. They showed the whole pilot, and it played to resounding applause.
Well, I remember at the end of the first series, I had a conversation with Richard Curtis and said, "Have you seen Modern Family?" He said, "Yes, I absolutely love it." And then he trumped me because he said, "I've just sent the first series to David Cameron because I wanted him to know what a great series this was." And apparently David Cameron's a huge fan as well.
Oh my God!
So I'm just saying that's the route. But everywhere, and everyone has got bits of their family that are like your family.
It's universal. It doesn't matter if you're, a leader of a country or.
But what you've managed to do is, as the kids have grown up, because the adults, there's a few changes, but as the kids have grown up, and boy, have they grown up, you've managed to incorporate them into the story rather than it all feeling awkward.
Yeah, well, I think it's important, that they tell truthful family stories, and that's what the blueprint of the show is why it's going to probably be on for a little bit longer, is because there's always family stories to tell. And if we've told a story with one of the kids, that we can retell the story through the eyes of another kid, because there are different stories based on their perspective.
And is it more difficult to get the team back together, given that there might be some branching out? We've been talking about your movie here and other projects. Do we see you all doing more other projects now?
Yeah, I think the success of the show, what it's really done for all of us, has given us the opportunity to do what we want to do, but more importantly, to not do what we don't want to do. That's really the goal.
So what aren't you doing anymore?
Auditioning if I don't want to go for something. Like if I don't want to go to Birmingham, Alabama, and shoot a movie that is in the hot sun, all day long, because I'd rather be at my house enjoying myself and relaxing and keeping my energy up so I can go back to the job that I love and have. I tell people, I was an actor for 12 years without a job. I got jobs, I did things, but nothing for more than 8 days. That was the longest I'd ever been employed, for 12 years. And so it's really nice to have a job that I know is there, and I want to enjoy that. I don't want to just take that for granted. So there'll be time for me to do other things when Modern Family's over, and if nobody has me, then that's okay too. I'll just rescue some horses and dogs and live on a farm.
And do you have anything else next? What do we see you in after this, or is it Modern Family?
It's Modern Family coming up in August, and then I did a movie on HBO called Confirmation that was about Clarence Thomas and Anita Hill that premiered last month. I shot that last summer. And then, The Secret Life of Pets, I think, is what I'm all about right now, and then I'll turn my focus back to Modern Family in August.
Eric Stonestreet, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much
Thank
indeed.
you.